aggressive. Briante Weber, he might, by the time this season is over, become the NCAA's all-time leader in steals. He is a thief in the backcourt, and he keys the VCU press. And Joseph Young already averaging close to 25 points per game. He is the top returning scorer in the Pac-12 and was second team all problem when you play the VCU press, not just the youth that it seems like Dana Altman is worried about, but just not maybe having as much gas in the tank in the second half as you'd like because of the up-tempo that we expect.
Absolutely. Remember, Oregon was in a possession-by-possession game with Michigan last night, and they came away with the loss the second game of that doubleheader, so short rest for Oregon tonight.
Pull up in the corner, and Trayvon Graham in the lane is able to get VCU off to the early lead.
Well, that's a great sign. He really struggled, just 2 for 9 from the floor last night against Villanova, and so to get him off to a good start against that zone, Oregon opened up in the zone, it's good for VCU.
Ball movement sets up Brooks for the drive. The scoop won't go. And Mo Ali Cox was able to pull it down. Weber tries to split the Oregon D. Can't do it. Gets shut down at the free throw line, and a turnover as Brooks comes the other way. Young sets up a straightaway look for Benson that won't go. Good recovery defensively by Benson, though, to slow up the VCU break.
See what Oregon's doing defensively, just packing it in there and making VCU have to shoot over them and cutting off those drives of Briante Weber. And if you allow him to get into the lane, it creates some problems.
Elgin Cook called for the foul, and for Oregon fans, this, in case you missed it, was just announced not long ago. No change as far as the college football playoff rankings are concerned. The Ducks still in the number 2 hole. Talk about controlling your own destiny to make it to the Final Four. If they run the table, they're going to be playing in that college football playoff with a chance to win a national championship. Now getting caught at midcourt. There's the VCU press doing its job, and it forces Casey.
VCU wants it.
And for fans back in Richmond to VCU, they don't want to think about it. And for the folks around the VCU program, as you found out, they don't want to be asked about it. How long will Shaka Smart be the head coach of the Rams? He's done an amazing job with this program. And you have to think those power conference jobs that might be lurking out there each and every year at some point with a traveling call against Brooks in the corner, someone will want to pluck Shaka Smart to the top level.
Well, it's an interesting conversation, but you know, you have to look at where he has the VCU program right now. He talked about the recruiting classes that he signed. They're building a brand new practice facility. One of the best environments for college basketball is our VCU home games. So there's a lot of reasons for Shaka Smart to remain at VCU for a long time.
Trayvon Graham makes it 6-0. And there's definitely something to be said for not messing with Happy. Yep. If you're well paid, if you have a little kingdom built, certainly Mark Few might be a great example of that. He has certainly built exactly that at Gonzaga. Why mess with Happy? As Weber tries to go coast to coast, kicks it out, and the 3 bottoms out for Melvin Johnson. A turnover, and it goes back to VCU. And Jeff, weigh in on where Shaka Smart's future ultimately might lie.
You know, he's not going to just take any job, guys. I mean, he turned down Illinois, he turned down NC State, he's turned down plenty of others that we don't even know about. He's going to wait for an elite-level job, and, you know, maybe a Louisville when Rick Pitino retires. Certainly Texas may be an option if something does down the road happen with Rick Barnes. But Shaka Smart likes it at VCU, and one of the reasons that isn't talked about, guys, is he can get players into school there and keep them in school. And that's huge.
Young can't get Oregon on the board after Johnson hit another three. Offensive foul called on the drive by Trayvon Graham. And Jeff, let me ask you this question. Could you foresee the possibility that Shaka Smart looks at VCU the way it seems now Mark Few looks at Gonzaga, that he will just say, you know what, I'm happy, I'm staying put?
No, I don't think so. I think ultimately he knows right now he's hot, and he's going to stay hot. They've gone to the tournament every year. However, I think eventually he's going to know that he's got to get out in order to really win a national title. He got a little bit fortunate there going from the first four to the final four, let's be honest.
He's off to a 12-0 lead. This is a good start for VCU after last night. They had a run put on them in the second half by Villanova and lost a tough one to the Wildcats. It was a very good game in the first half, but it got away from VCU in the second half.
It did, and, you know, 2 big threes from Melvin Johnson here, and he's been their best offensive player here in the early going in the season. Leave him free, and it's going to be trouble from beyond that three-point arc. Really shooting the basketball well to start the year.
Jared Guest couldn't handle the pass, so the Rams turn it over, but Oregon still can't get on the board. We're almost at our first media timeout. Justin Tillman comes on, and you'll notice as this game continues, as he replaces Melvin Johnson, as we get a look at Dana Altman over on the Oregon bench, that VCU might have the all-hair team. There are not many teams in college basketball that can match up from a hairdo standpoint with the Rams. Still, a shot won't go as Ahmad Rory can't hit for the Ducks. Traveling calls on Jaquan Lewis. VCU with the sprained ankle. It'll be hard-pressed to stay with VCU for 40 minutes as up-tempo as this game's going to be.
Well, it's a young team as well. I mean, you look at the roster from a season ago, they lost 10 players off of their roster from a season ago. Just Joseph Young and Elgin Cook were players that played significant minutes for Dana Altman. So this is an entirely new group, and they're led by that young man right there, Joe Young, and he's a good guy to be led by just because he's so proficient in scoring the basketball.
He can shoot you back in the game, and he gets the first points on the board for the Rams, and here they come again on the run. Gambling over the top, looking for a steal was Jonathan Williams. And Ahmad Rory made him pay.
Yeah, that's really good patience. Look to beat the press early. If you get a good shot, take it, but then reverse the basketball, try to get a good shot on the backside. It's what Oregon talked about in their shoot-around this morning against the VCU pressure.
Guest, 3 seconds is called. It looks as if it was Justin Tillman that stayed in the lane, so that will bring Briante Weber and Trayvon Graham back in. We talked about Jonathan Williams gambling for that steal, something that Shaka Smart said sometimes Briante Weber has a habit of doing. When you play this up-tempo press that VCU plays, how do you balance the risk-taking, going for a steal, with making sure you're still responsible being back on defense?
Well, you know, I think that's the area of growth, of most improvement for VCU, is their half-court defense. This right here, right? The counters of pressure that teams go to, and being patient defensively in the half court. And, you know, it's hard to as a player because it's hard to turn down that aggressiveness. I don't think that Shaka Smart is asking his players to necessarily turn down that aggressiveness, but I think he wants them to play smarter in the half court and not gamble, take too many chances.
Well, there you saw Jaquan Lewis jump out, and that allowed Rory to go back door, and now he's at the free throw line. And as a coach, what are the main points of emphasis when you're trying to teach young players to play this trapping style, but to make sure that they don't get caught gambling the way that Jaquan Lewis just did, gives Rory a free trip to the basket?
Well, when you're teaching defense, it's your one person in a part of a bigger picture. And so sometimes you are pressuring and you might get beat, but everyone's working and moving together. So the weak side getting the steals, their interceptor, if they're able to get someone sped up or someone taking a charge or blocking shots, that's all a piece of this as well.
Another three goes for Graham.
Now, this is exactly, Bob, what we didn't see from VCU last night. Hitting shots. I mean, they went 2 for 17 from beyond the arc. Already 3 threes, more than they had all last night against the Wildcats.
Young's floater won't go, and frustration continues for the Pac-12's leading returning scorer as he visits the 5th row. Was unable to save his own miss.
Joe Young, an incredible athlete. I mean, he had a putback yesterday that missed and a dunk down the lane, and it shows his explosiveness. He's not just a shooter. He's not just a guy that stands from beyond the arc and puts it up. He is somebody that can score in the mid-range and that can take it to the rim with authority. Again, Oregon packing it in, right? Packing it in, making VCU play in front of them. The difference has been the Rams have been able to hit those three-point shots.
Graham thought about another, instead drives it and gets double teamed. 7 to shoot, Weber, nice bounce pass in the lane, but a rejection at the doorstep. And the other way comes Dylan Brooks. Jordan Bell with a terrific rejection, but a swat at the other end by Justin Tillman. When these two teams play, it might get haphazard and ugly at times, but it won't ever be slow. Good wall off inside by Dylan Brooks, and that creates the foul on Trayvon Graham.
Well, the back line of the defense, and great pass there by Briante Weber. And Jordan Bell with a great block, and how about the freshman, Justin Tillman? I mean, they did like vertical jump testing before the season. They test all the guys and their reach and all that. Justin Tillman, he jumped higher than they could measure. Jumped over 12 feet 3 inches. I mean, that's how much athleticism he has. They couldn't really measure his vertical leap because he was higher than what they could measure.
Young with the lob, just a little too high for Jordan Bell. And our journey to the tourney, presented by Sonic, continues Wednesday at 10 on ESPN. It's the championship game of the EA Sports Maui Invitational. That game also available on Watch ESPN. That's tomorrow night at 10 Eastern.
I was up late last night watching BYU and San Diego State.
Good game.
Oh, it was a great game. It was a great game.
A little head fake by Johnson. His drive rejected again. Jordan Bell gets another piece. Swooping in out of control was Elgin Cook. Young kept it alive, but out of the pack comes Melvin Johnson. Johnson for 3. Guest goes over the back. So another foul called on VCU. And that foul, by the way, a moment ago on Trayvon Graham was his second, so that puts him on the bench. He's got 7 points to lead all scorers early on, but now early foul trouble, the first player for either team with 2. Melvin Johnson sits down. Doug Brooks, sophomore from Lake Wales, Florida, on for the first time, and here comes Joseph Young. Spinning, kicks it back up top to Benson. That 3 goes down.
That's a big shot. They needed that. And, you know, you're watching Oregon go up and down, and if you hadn't seen them play, you'd think, well, VCU speeding them up, they're making them play fast. This is exactly how Oregon likes to play. Transition, they're going to push it, look to score early. Yeah, he walked, and that's a good call because he tried to seek the contact there. Great job by the ref, and we got an up and down affair here, Bob. VCU upset, and we're seeing Oregon play a lot of zone or sagging, really packing it. So they're going to miss his presence in the middle of their passing and shooting. But remember, this is a team that plays a lot of guys. I mean, we've already seen 10 players in the lineup for VCU, so they have the depth to withstand that foul trouble from Graham.
Graham's 3 for 3 from the field. The rest of the team 3 for 9, and now he's on the bench. And there's another miss as VCU is now 1 for their last 8. As Brooks came up short. And that a tip in the corner, out of bounds. Good hustle by Doug Brooks as he got his fingers on the basketball, and Abdul Bassett couldn't save it.
Deflections, deflections, deflections. A nice job there by Doug Brooks to get from the weak side to the strong side on the pass, see the basketball, and creates a turnover.
Some token pressure from Oregon. You wonder, with only 7 scholarship players and really no bench at all, could Oregon ever afford to get their defense up tempo?
Well, you know, they've been consistent with their 1-2-2 3-quarter court all season long. It's something that they're used to and helps them get their rhythm and slow VCU down in the half court.
Shot clock at 7. Weber goes one-on-one against Casey Benson. Fades away. Old school playground shot won't go. Oregon trailed 12-0 to start the game, trying to crawl back in it. And Saturday on ESPNU, Big Ten newcomers look to bolster their bowl game resumes. A doubleheader as Rutgers takes on Maryland. And the Blue Devils need a victory to make program history with consecutive 9-win seasons. They face the Demon Deacons. Rutgers-Maryland starts off a doubleheader at 3:30. Wake Forest-Duke at 7. College football lives here on ESPNU Saturday. Cook, too strong. Where do the points come from now for Oregon with Joseph Young on the bench? And how long can they afford to keep him there? Double dribble. That's a turnover by Jordan Burgess. That's already the 7th turnover for VCU.
Oh, great job, just scouting report here. Elgin Cook, he loves to go right. So anytime he drives middle, you can anticipate a spin back right, and that's a great job by VCU on the double team. But even before that, in that possession, the denial, taking away, there's certain choke points to Oregon's offense. If they can't reverse the basketball, it makes it a little bit more difficult.
Cook goes to the basket, has his shot altered and knocked out of bounds by Ali Cox, and they say it goes over to the Rams. It's almost as if when Elgin Cook turned, he didn't realize how open he was.
Or he didn't realize he was going over to block the shot. I might change my shot if Mo Ali Cox was flying in the air towards me. Just an enforcer down there in the paint for the Rams.
250 pounds, and a player that actually has some football scouts saying, you know what? There's that tradition now, kind of a heritage of basketball players turning into tight ends. Might be worth a look. Good look from the corner. Knocking it down is Terry Larrier. The freshman buries a jumper. Up, down, side to side. Maybe add some weight at only 175 pounds. But Shaka Smart said the sky is the limit ability-wise for Larry.
Absolutely. He's so smooth offensively, particularly in transition. We saw him hit that three-point shot. You hit the nail on the head. It's handling physical play for Terry Larrier as he grows and progresses. Not just being a jump shooter, but being able to handle contact and play with the toughness on both ends of the floor.
The Atlantic 10 could beat you up. Daquan Lewis with the left hand rolls it home. Lewis had a scary moment, concussion against Tennessee in the opener, but only missed one game. Young for 3. That might get him going. Joseph Young hits a triple, and it's a 7-point game. Cox fumbled the pass from Melvin Johnson. How far outside the arc's Young on this last 3?
Well, he's got great range, and what you can't do is have your hands down on reversal. Look at Jaquan Lewis's hands down against one of the best shooters in the country. I don't care where he is on the floor. When you come at him, you've got to have your hands up ready to contest at any moment.
Brooks tried to slip one through the back door to Jordan Bell. He fumbled it. Young for 3 again. That's off the mark. Straight away, Jordan Burgess. Corralled in the corner, but dribbled on the baseline by Bell. VCU with a 7-point lead.
He does, but the contest and making him maybe be a split second quicker in loading that shot causes that miss.
And at the other end, Burgess leans in and makes it a 9-point game. You're a guard, you're a shooter, just a hand in the general vicinity What effect does that have, as you said, on Young maybe being just a bit off kilter?
It makes a difference. It makes a difference when someone's flying at you. And because you're now making a decision, you're processing as a shooter, are they coming so quick that I have to shot fake? Do I have to put it on the floor? Do I have enough time and space to get it off?
Instead, you get Dillon Brooks, who could basically test the wind before knocking that one down. He's all alone, and in rhythm, it's a three.
Yeah, he's been really good for Dana Altman as a freshman. His offensive prowess has helped balance out the fact that they are so reliant on Joe Young on the offensive end of the floor. Watch a little overload here from VCU. They like to do this against the zone to see if they can get a clean look in the corner.
Good recovery by Oregon, 7 to shoot. Lewis, high off the glass, won't go with the left hand. Has a good defensive sequence there for the Ducks. Brooks attacks at the other end, tried the little Euro step crossover, and turned it over instead. 8 turnovers for the Ducks. The EA Sports Maui Invitational continuing with the semifinals. The championship game tomorrow night. The winner of Kansas State, Arizona takes on the winner of Pitt, San Diego State. As San Diego State, as you said, survived in what might have been the game of the Maui Invitational so far. BYU double overtime last night.
You know, the games still have to be played, and tonight's going to be a good one between Pitt and San Diego State. But I'm anxious to see if the Arizona-San Diego State matchup materializes in the championship of the Maui Invitational.
Trayvon Graham back on the floor with 2 fouls. That's his first miss. Cook. A bank shot by Dillon Brooks.
There we go, if you're Oregon. I mean, a little bit of rhythm now offensively, maybe finding their groove against that VCU pressure in the half court. That's back-to-back really good possessions on the offensive end.
One-handed old school floater goes down for Weber. Young, given a free pass down the lane, shovels it off, and a nice job, body control for Elgin Cook to use the glass. Graham with the left hand. Count it, and he'll go to the line with a chance for a three-point play.
We talked about Graham in the middle of that packed-in defense, the value that he possesses as a floor player because he's so versatile. They love to play through him at the top of the key area, the free throw line area, makes good decisions, and it's good to see him drive and finish. It was a struggle for him last night on the offensive end of the floor, driving and finishing.
Larrier sits down. Melvin Johnson back on for VCU. And here's Young. He can shoot it from there. As you said, Carey, you can't get lazy against Joseph Young. Once he comes across the midcourt stripe, it could go up.
Yep.
Great ball movement, backdoor along the baseline. Dillon Brooks, the find from Rory. Weber pulled the string a bit, knocked out of bounds, and it will go over to Oregon in what's now a 5-point game.
Ball movement. I mean, that was a point of emphasis for Dana Altman and his team. And 2 go to Joseph Young. He finds Rory in the corner, and then nice cut. The timing of that cut by Dillon Brooks. This is just an Oregon team that is playing really well and very confident on the offensive end in the half court right now.
Oregon has 9 field goals and 7 assists on those 9 field goals. Brooks for 3. Knocks down another. Just like that, it's a 2-point game.
He's so confident. He's feisty, and he got after it last night against Michigan. Ultimately fouled out. That really hurt Oregon down the stretch. But he is a tough player, supremely confident in his offensive game.
Weber can't split the Oregon D. Instead feeds Ali Cox in the post. That's knocked away, and Dylan Brooks gets it out to midcourt. Young for 3. A little too strong. The long rebound, though, run down by Benson. VCU, in case you're just joining us, scored the game's first 12 points. It was 12-0 when we went to our first TV timeout. And now Young throws it to nowhere. Oregon turns it over, but they've made it a 2-point game. You think this is a flawless defensive player, but Shaka Smart echoed what you just talked about at the shoot-around earlier today. You can, at times, gamble looking for a statistic and put your team in harm's way.
Yeah, and you just don't want to do that. There were a few possessions last night against Villanova that Briante Weber did the same thing, and we know what happened with that offensive explosion by the Wildcats in the second half. You go against experienced players, Joe Young, an experienced player, senior, and you do that, they're going to make you pay.
Well, speaking of making a team pay, Travion Graham now picks up his 3rd foul. So Oregon bodying up inside gets Graham now in legitimate foul trouble, and he might be done for the rest of the first half at least. Cook got caught in midair, sets up Young for 3. Larrier draws the foul. His wrist was grabbed by Jordan Bell. Only the 3rd team foul called against Oregon here in the first half. VCU already has 7, so they're over the limit. But Oregon with 3 total fouls in the first 17.5 minutes. Lewis steps inside the 3-point line and hits a long 2.
Yeah, it's good to see him find his rhythm. He was playing as well as anybody on the team in the preseason. And as you mentioned, Bob, had that scary fall against Tennessee, and is just now starting to really find his groove back. But he's a key piece of this team off the bench because of his speed and his ability to shoot the basketball.
Young has been off here in the first half. He made 1 3. But Young is now 2 for 9 from the field and 1 for 6 from behind the arc, and yet his team is only down 4. And the pace seems to be where Oregon probably wants it.
They've done a pretty good job of slowing it down, packing it in against that zone. You can't give Johnson too many free looks or he'll make you pay from out there.
He gets another look. This one, a running one-hander off the offensive rebound. It's been 0 for Brooklyn so far for Oregon. They have not had a lead in the Progressive Legends Classic, and now they've picked up their 4th team foul as Dylan Brooks is called for an offensive foul. That's his first. And now Young will go to the bench, replaced by Jaleel Abdul-Bassett. If you told Dana Altman before the game that Joseph Young was going to be 2 for 9 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3, obviously that would be his worst nightmare. But if you told him that you'd only be down by 6, you think he'd take it?
No, he'd take it. But he also said to us today that if you had told him they would have out-rebounded Michigan by 12,
right,
that he would have thought they would have won the game. So
Jaquan Lewis stretches the lead. Abdul-Bassett can't answer. And VCU looking to go up double digits again. Teams in college rarely go 2 for 1. In the pros, it's almost an automatic. Are you surprised by that, or is that just something that college coaches don't normally think about?
I think they think about it, but I also think you're dealing with a different level of player, not just physically, but mentally, and being able to handle and know at what time can you still go 2 for 1, at what time is it too late.
Johnson for 3. Helter-skelter play to close out the first half. The putback is there for Ali Cox. And now Oregon can hold for the final shot of the first half, but it's an 8-0 VCU run. Leaning in, Abdul Bassett, and he hits. And a quick timeout called by Shaka Smart after the made basket.
When you look at Tillman, when you look at their freshmen, that by February and March are going to be different players.
Brooks beats the horn, can't bank one home.
Just 5 points, really struggling from the field, just 2 for 9.
Kara, how do you get a shooter going?
You look to push in transition, and I think Joseph Young needs to look to be ultra aggressive in transition to see if he can get some clean looks, taking it to the rim, or getting some three-point shots. That's the easiest way. They can load up on you in the half court.
In the corner, good start to the second half for Casey Benson. That's his second three.
Yeah, that's a really good start. Oregon needs other players to step up until Joseph Young can get it going. And Casey Benson, fully capable on the offensive end of the floor, a combo guard, usually comes off the bench for the Ducks, but in the starting lineup tonight with Dwayne Benjamin out with that ankle.
So Oregon hanging in there, down by only 5, in spite of the fact that Young has largely been a non-factor. And it goes over to the Ducks. Isn't this what Duck fans can expect from this basketball team all season long? Short bench, but maximum effort, gritty, and if Young has himself a game, they can beat anyone.
Yeah, I mean, that's what jumped off the tape, preparing for this tournament and watching Oregon on tape, how hard this team plays. They play so incredibly hard. What Dana Altman is trying to get out of them is to play smarter, and we saw that at the end of the first half. Jeff referenced it. They made some dumb plays, and that allowed VCU to go on a spurt there and extend the lead.
Leaning in with the left hand is Burgess, and he'll go to the line.
Oregon was picked 8th to finish 8th preseason in the Pac-12, and you watch them play, and if Dwayne Benjamin's able to come back healthy, you have to think that they've got a shot to improve on that. I'm not saying they're going to be up there with Arizona at the top of the Pac-12, but you play this hard on the defensive end, you go to the offensive glass, and you have one of the premier scorers in the country in Joseph Young. They could be, right around the middle of the pack of the Pac-12.
Well, normally, middle of the pack in the Pac-12, as Dylan Brooks, by the way, picked up his second foul there, you're right on the tournament bubble, and you might sneak in the field.
You could. I mean, the whole season really is going to depend on the maturation of the freshmen. They're playing so many key roles. They start a freshman point guard. Casey Benson is their backup point guard. So,
offensive foul called on Cook.
So how do they react? We're seeing here in Brooklyn, they're playing hard. They're making some mental mistakes, but now you go to Arizona, or you go to UCLA, or you go to Stanford. How do you handle that in conference play? That's going to be a test for this young group.
That second foul on Cook, and you mentioned the inexperience as well. Elgin Cook is the only player on the roster besides Joseph Young that averaged more than 7 minutes per game last season. So you've got 2 experienced players out of the 7 scholarship players without Dwayne Benjamin now with the ankle injury, and who knows how long he'll be sidelined. It's tough sledding early on for Oregon as Briante Weber goes to work with the shot clock winding down. Picks up his dribble, gets it back, 3 to shoot. He might have to force one up. Instead, it's Johnson. Beats the timer, but it's an air ball. Brooks alone, comes up short. Burgess in trouble, throws it out to midcourt. Briante Weber does well to save it. Shot clock down to 6. Burgess, old school one-hander, won't go. Gets it away from Brooks and then draws the foul. And if that's on Dylan Brooks, it looks like it is. That's his 3rd. So that will bring Jaleel Abdul Bassett back in the game. So now you've got Dylan Brooks with 3 and Travion Graham with 3 for VCU. They both basically play the same position, similar type players, similar roles for these two teams. Wonder how long Dana Altman and Shaka Smart will both go with those two on the bench.
Well, we've seen the start of this second half, how bogged down VCU has gotten on the offensive end. I mean, a three-pointer that's forced by Melvin Johnson with 2 seconds left on the shot clock because he had to get it up. Here, their prowess on the offensive glass is what saved the possession, and Jordan Burgess able to get to the free throw line, but they struggle without Graham in the lineup on the offensive end because he does a little bit of everything and all the attention the defense pays to him.
Jared Guest back in for Terry Larrier for VCU. And they continue to sit Travion Graham to start off the second half. Rory wide open for three. They left him alone, and he made them pay. It's a 4-point game.
Rory for three.
Briante Weber off the mark. The tip follow won't go, and it's corralled by Rory. And he's fouled in the backcourt. No, it's traveling. Dana Altman loves the effort as Rory lost his balance.
Just a communication breakdown. You look at Mo Ali Cox, and Guest goes to leave, and he's telling him to stay with that player, trying to push him out, as you see right there. And Rory just takes advantage of the fact that no one comes up to play him. So communication is a big part of defense, and being able to rotate and match up and transition, match up in the half court. And VCU does a poor job of it there, and Oregon makes him pay.
In VCU's system, how much of the guidance is the big guys trying to communicate to the guys out on the edge where they want them to go?
In any system, communication from the big guys is paramount.
Yep.
You know, a lot of times offensively, we're so used to the point guard being the vocal leader because they see the floor. Well, on the defensive end, it's the post players that see the floor. They call the screens. They call the coverages. If you have a vocal post player, chances are you're going to have a solid defense.
Swooping move by Melvin Johnson made it a 6-point game, but that three goes down from the corner for Abdul Bassett, and it's a one-possession game again.
I mean, they're playing defense. Both teams are playing defense at a high level, or well enough to win this game. It's just a matter of who can make shots, and what does Shaka Smart do? He doesn't like how things are going offensively. He puts Travion Graham back into the basketball game.
So Travion Graham back in with 3 fouls. How long does Dana Altman keep Dylan Brooks with 3 fouls on the bench? We'll see. Shot clock to 7. Melvin Johnson slips one through traffic to Guest. And Jared Guest will go to the line.
That's a nice play there. A nice little pocket pass by Melvin Johnson, understanding that he's going to get a lot of attention coming off that ball screen from Jared Guest's defender. And he just puts it right in there in a position where Jared Guest can succeed and get to the basket.
Abdul Bassett called for the foul, his first, team's 4th here in the second half.
It's just a better flow to that possession. I mean, Graham did not end up ultimately with the basketball, but just a better flow. Having not just a player who's multifaceted in his approach on the offensive end, but a veteran who knows how to run your stuff.
Guest with 2 misses at the line, though, and it's still a 3-point game. A little too much ball handling in the corner, and Abdul Bassett turns it over.
Yeah, that was an outstanding possession there by Melvin Johnson. He knew that they were trying to go backdoor, still was able to maintain denial 1 pass away, but stopped the backdoor pass, which is a pressure release.
Still, though, at the start of the game, you thought maybe the biggest factor would be the youth and the thin bench for Oregon getting worn out by the press for VCU. Has the press for VCU been as effective or as big of a factor as you thought?
Well, I thought there was a little bit of a wear-down effect at the end of that first half. I do think Oregon got a little loose with the basketball, and sometimes the wear-down effect doesn't affect you in terms of turnovers. It can affect you mentally and making smart decisions. So we'll see if Oregon can keep it up here.
A lot of contact, but no foul called either way. It's just Jaquan Lewis out of bounds. This just ruled a straight turnover Looks like a foul on someone.
There was contact there, absolutely, and I'm not sure that that Jordan Bell had legal guarding position right there, and I'm not even sure he went up vertical.
Diagonal pass deflected, ends up right in the hands of Elgin Cook, and Cook will shoot two. So that, a fortunate bounce for Oregon as Jaquan Lewis picks up the foul. And that's the first foul on VCU in the second half. He thought he had a held ball. And it looked close. So Elgin Cook has been in double figures all 4 games this season and has basically doubled up his averages from last year so far this year. Last year he averaged about 6.5 points and 3.5 rebounds per game. To start off this year, he's averaging 13 points and 6 rebounds per game. And needs to. He's going to play pretty much the whole game every night for Oregon.
Absolutely.
VCU dribbling down the shot clock. Jaquan Lewis from NBA range, way off the mark. And a chance for Oregon to take the lead. Abdul Bassett, in and out. Benson kept it alive, but it tapped right to Briante Weber. He goes coast to coast, and he'll have a chance at an old-fashioned three-point play.
Oh, there's no question that this is where VCU is most comfortable. In transition, attacking. Briante Weber, aggressive player that can get to the rim and finish. Nice job handling that contact and putting it up on the rim, but he's been in the weight room a little bit. You know, the thing that VCU needs to improve on, and you see this, and I thought Shaka Smart, you know, used a good word about their game with Villanova last night, is we got exposed. Here's where VCU can get better, and we didn't see it in that position, but we've seen it here in the second half. Half-court execution, continuing to move, cut hard, and not just end with a high pick to end the play every time. Because you do that against good teams, and you're not going to get a quality shot.
And here's Dylan Brooks back in for Oregon. So now Dana Altman sensing with a backcourt foul called on Terry Larrier that maybe now's the time where this game is teetering back in the wrong direction for Oregon. He brings back Brooks now with 3 fouls with 13.5 to go.
I think it's a good call. I mean, I really do. You have to have enough offense on the floor, and Brooks is just going to have to be smart. Smart on the defensive end of the floor and not get tangled up with anybody.
He's only a freshman. That's a lot to trust him with. Dana Altman was looking for the continuation. Unfortunately, it's not the NBA, so the foul called on the floor on Jordan Burgess. That's his first.
Oh, yeah, on the floor.
Not when the Nets play.
Yeah.
That's Joe Johnson. That's a three-point play. Brooks has to be careful not to hook with that elbow with 3 fouls. 7 minutes gone by here in the second half. Brooks muscles one up and can't get it past Mo Ali Cox. Larrier, too strong. Here comes Young on a run out. Sets up Rory. In and out. Offensive rebound, though, for Elgin Cook. He has it stripped away by Lewis. Now the pace picks up. Ali Cox in the post. The tip follow won't go, but a second effort, and it does go down for Melvin Johnson. Quick trigger in the corner, off the mark for Joseph Young. Still can't buy one. Cook lost it to Ali Cox. Too strong inside. And Ali Cox shoots free throws. When we come back, Oregon at one point had it cut.
It came out of nowhere. Shaka Smart was involved in a program called Villa 7, which was run by Norwood Teague and his right-hand man, Mike Ellis, who are now at Minnesota. Mike Ellis is in the crowd right now watching because the Gophers play in the preseason NIT tomorrow night. Shaka, at about 2 in the morning after this Villa 7, slid a note under Norwood Teague's door saying how much he appreciated being a part of the program, was then a finalist along with Russ Springman, the assistant coach at Texas right now. Nobody thought Shaka had a chance of getting the job. He ends up getting it, and obviously he's had a ton of success, and now Teague and Ellis are at Minnesota.
It's amazing, amazing story. And you know, you look at Shaka Smart, and he's so detailed with everything. You know, it doesn't surprise you that he would do something like that to set himself apart and to make an impression on Norwood Teague.
Ali Cox with the rejection inside of Dylan Brooks, who had a strong offensive rebound after Joseph Young again missed from 3. Young's now 2 for 11 from the field, 1 for 8 from 3. And that's the single biggest reason why Oregon can't get over the top and catch VCU. Weber lost the ball. Numbers for Oregon. The finger roll goes, plus the foul. So a chance for Elgin Cook to complete the old-fashioned three-point play. And that would put Oregon back within 4.
Oregon in transition. This has been one of their better forms of offense. And Elgin Cook, I mean, it's so difficult. And we'll take a look at the ref right here.
And we've got a collision as well, as the ball boy was out on the floor trying to clean off a wet spot. And that was Jim Bruno, one of our officials, that tried to do the hurdle job. Ineffective.
Yeah, that didn't work so well. That ball boy got clocked. Right
wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah. You know, when you're younger, growing up, and people would be playing pickup, and you'd want to get on the game, and you'd shoot at the other end. I mean, you got to know. You know, as a ball boy, you got to know when the flow's coming the other way.
Especially these two teams.
Yeah, you got to get off the court. I might wait for a whistle. I might wait for a whistle.
That might be the advice that Jim Bruno now gives to the young man.
He wasn't very happy.
Oh. Johnson, strong move, won't go. Here comes Casey Benson. They hit ahead, and Bell lost it off his knee, out of bounds. The quick feed from Ahmad Rory, but it's the 16th turnover, as Jordan Bell just couldn't handle it.
Oh, that was a good opportunity. That was a good opportunity for Oregon. I mean, Jordan Bell was going to have a dunk at the rim.
Travion Graham, too strong from the foul line. Melvin Johnson swings one to the corner. A line drive 3 goes down for Jordan Burgess. And the lead back up to 7. Last night, Oregon was in a similar game with Michigan. Boy, it felt like the entire game, especially in the second half, that every time Michigan threw one dagger up there that might put Oregon down, the Ducks would respond. How many body blows can Oregon take and still keep coming back?
After watching them last night, I got to believe they can take this to the end. I mean, that's the way they played, and there you go.
Good call. Casey Benson hits a 3, and it's a 4-point game. And a blocking foul called, as trying to jump up, Casey Benson almost got position to draw the offensive foul. That's Benson's first. And remember, Dwayne Benjamin, who was a big factor until late in the second half when he turned his ankle last night, averages 7.5 points and 9 rebounds a game on the bench with a sprained ankle that I think the Oregon Ducks are fearful might be worse than just your run-of-the-mill garden variety sprained ankle.
And he would be a big piece to their game plan because he's a guy that can guard 1 through 5. I mean, he starts at the center position for Oregon, but they do a lot of same-size switching because they have athletic guys. Rebounder, their best rebounder on the team, offensive glass. And they really miss him in a game like this where they could really help turn the tide on the boards.
Daquan Lewis, who had 11 games in double figures last season. Really nice complementary player that's perfect for the style that VCU plays. Only 1 of 2 at the line. Alone in the corner, Abdul Bassett barely draws iron. Here's Travion Graham. A steal at midcourt though. Elgin Cook, double clutched. And then a cheap foul called on Benson. And with Oregon over the limit, that's going to put VCU at the line at the other end. And that's a tough exchange for the Ducks.
Wow. I mean, that's the second transition play that they've completely bungled. And Elgin Cook, I mean, the ball just slips. This actually happened to him last night in a pivotal possession against Villanova. And the offensive end, he fumbled the basketball. Oregon had a layup, and it was a big possession in the game. But you look at Oregon and 2 missed opportunities in transition, in a game that could be a 1-point game. If you capitalize on those, now VCU can stretch it out even more.
Now you put Travion Graham at the line at the other end, shooting 69% so far this season. But this is a player that if he has, say, an 18-point-per-game type season for VCU, he might track down Eric Maynor as the school's all-time scoring leader.
Yeah, that's saying something. Eric Maynor was a terrific player for VCU.
Joseph Young not even on the floor right now for the Ducks, as he has been ice cold all night. Cook with authority. Fouled on the floor. Travion Graham called for that foul. That's his 4th. So now another decision for Shaka Smart, and it looks like it's a quick trigger. Graham with 4 fouls goes right back to the bench. VCU's 6th foul, so they'll be over the limit the rest of the way. Both teams will shoot free throws for the rest of the game.
When you look at the 3 guys that early in this second half made threes, Rory, Benson, and Abdul Bassett, they're going to have to do so here in the second half.
Benson, no good. Offensive rebound on a block out underneath, and a foul call. That's going to go against Oregon. That'll be on Elgin Cook. And that's Cook's 4th. So Bell back in as Cook has to sit down with 4 fouls. And back into the game as well as Joe Young. He replaces Rory. This also the final 1-on-1 for VCU. That was team foul number 9 on Oregon. So now VCU, the rest of the game, will shoot the double bonus. Is this the time that VCU finally pulls away? Or does Oregon still have a comeback in their hip pocket? And now a whistle, and it looks like a foul will be called on Melvin Johnson of VCU. That's his 1st, but that will be free throws now for Oregon, a 1-on-1 at the other end. And that will put Joseph Young, who so far this season is 26 for 26 at the line. Led the Pac-12 in free throw shooting last season, and stays perfect this year. Does that get Young going? Right, sometimes a trip to the line can be the match that lights the fuse.
Sure, I mean, but there's so much attention being paid to him. That's the hard part. There's somebody glued to him, and then when he drives, they're helping off. That's why you're seeing Benson get clean looks, Abdul Bassett get clean looks, Rory get clean looks, because of the attention being paid to both Young and Cook.
Johnson, step back three. He wanted that one. You could feel it from the start of that possession. He was looking for enough room, and he got that shot off in rhythm. Kick ball. Jordan Burgess at midcourt, so it stays with the Ducks, but you could feel this three coming from Melvin Johnson.
He was sizing it up, and they love to get some ball screen action from him at the top of the key, and if that defender of that post screener doesn't step up, Melvin Johnson is fully capable of knocking down that three-point shot.
Young, tough shot, and it sticks. Possession arrow will give it back to VCU.
I mean, that's a wrong foot floater. That's what he just put up. And there was a crowd around him. So every time he beats that first level of defense, if he's able to get by Burante Weber or Melvin Johnson, look at Molly Cox. He's standing right there, right in the middle of the lane. So that's the kind of shot. That's a low percentage shot. And those are the types of looks that Joe Young has been getting, and he hasn't been able to knock them down.
When you average more than 10 points per game, more than the second leading scorer on your team, and that's Young, how hard is it to not force it, knowing that if you don't score, your team probably doesn't have a chance to win?
Well, it is hard not to force it, particularly when you're not shooting well or you're just not even getting shots up. And so that's the struggle, and that's what Joseph Young as a senior has to do is trust in his younger teammates that they can make shots.
Lee Cox reposts off the feed from Larrier. It's a double-digit lead for VCU again. Abdul Bassett fought about it from the corner. Leans in, tough shot, gets it to go off the glass. And a quick timeout called by Dana Altman. Such great early season college basketball matchups. Terrific. We might get North Carolina, Wisconsin at the Paradise Jam, or in the Bahamas before all is said and done.
A lot of information in a short period of time for coaches.
Yep.
And when you have young teams, and we have a lot of young teams here in Brooklyn, it's a great opportunity to expose your freshmen to the type of effort that it takes to win on a night-by-night basis in conference.
Lewis comes up short. AC Benson tries to turn the corner the other way, coming up on 7 minutes to go. Young lost his balance, turns it over. Abdul Bassett takes it back for Oregon. Jordan Bell, some contact, no foul call. 3-on-1 the other way for VCU. Lewis gives it up. How about Abdul Bassett? Hustling, transition defense to knock it away. They call the VCU style havoc.
So there are a couple matchup issues, I think, on either side. Karis LeVert is fantastic for Michigan and John Beilein. And then Javon Pinkston, he presents some problems at the 4 position for Jay Wright. He's kind of got an old school type of game, really good in the mid-range, so it should be a great matchup.
Travion Graham wide open off a nice out-of-bounds underneath play. Now from the corner, Abdul Bassett can't hit the 3. Elgin Cook, offensive rebound. He's playing with 4 fouls. But at this point, what choice does Dana Altman have as we take a look at the games from last night? Oregon hung in as long as they could with Michigan, but the real surprise, how Villanova pulled away in the second half from VCU.
It was spectacular. I mean, their offensive execution, their guards, their ability to handle the pressure. You have veterans, you have experience, and that makes such a difference at this level, and that's what Jay Wright has. He has a senior backcourt, and he's just got players that have been there before and understand how to win games.
Ali Cox was called for his first foul, but that obviously now has VCU over the limit. Nine points now for Elgin Cook. And Oregon hanging in there, 6.5 minutes to go. Down by 9, but they have not been able to get their leading scorer, Joseph Young, on track. Both of these teams average about 83 points per game. It hasn't been that kind of game tonight. Defensively, both have kept the other's offense in check and kept the score down. And now an unforced error. Turnover by VCU. That's their 17th.
It has not been pretty in the half court for either team.
jumper goes down for Ahmaad Rory.
Now, here's what I like about Rory the last couple of possessions that he's taken shots is that he's not setting up camp outside as we see Melvin Johnson with a really nice play in transition. And remember, Oregon, they're going to run it right up your backside and see if they can get a clean look. But Rory's getting to his shooting spot. He's right inside the three-point line, camped out, ready to make a play.
Brooks hits a three. Strike. When Oregon pushes it up the floor, he could spot up and shoot it from anywhere. They've done a really good job of making sure they identify where he is. He just hasn't gotten any clean looks.
No, he hasn't. And, you know, there's no question Oregon's best offense is Joe Young. And their second best offense throughout this season has been, the early part of the season, has been offensive rebounding. So it's nice to see some of these other players step up and make some shots. That's a good sign for Dana Altman.
Shot clock under 10. Weber picks up his dribble and gets caught. Throws a wild one up and it goes. What a shot by Briante Weber. Rory attacks the other way. His reverse won't go, but the tip follow is there for Elgin Cook. Full court pressure now for Oregon. Lee Cox needs some help. They call the foul on Casey Benson. Brandon Cruz, the referee, said that Benson had his hands extended, and if you put two hands on any player with the ball, that's an automatic call. So he may have been in position to take the charge, but that's a point of emphasis now for the officials.
Absolutely, can't do it. And you know, that's the second time Benson's tried to take a charge in their pressure, and it's resulted in VCU going to the free throw line. Not a bad guy to foul if you're Benson, even though he wasn't intending to. Mo Ali Cox shoots under 60% from the free throw line on the season, but you can't continue to put them to the free throw line.
Double bonus. One of two at the line for Ali Cox. Cook, elbow jumper, off balance, and they didn't even look at Joseph Young during that possession. Weber shovels one off. Contact, plus the foul. What a finish for Burgess. He threw that one up in the clouds. As always say to their players, we can get an off-balance contested jumper
anytime,
with 1 or 2 on the shot clock.
Anytime.
You don't need to get that any earlier than with 1 or 2 seconds to go on the shot clock when it's absolutely necessary.
Absolutely. I think he got stuck in the air, is I think what happened. I think that's what happened there with Elgin Cook. But run your stuff if you're Oregon. Try to get Joseph Young an opportunity in the middle of your play. And
now Cook's done as he's fouled out. Young fumbles it. Rory tries to win the battle, and it looks like he does. Jaquan Lewis, I believe, was called for the foul. That will be a foul on Lewis of VCU. That's his third, and that's the team 9th. So it's the final 1-and-1 for Oregon as Rory, shooting 78% so far this season, goes to the line. And down by 10 with 3.5 minutes to go. Now, 0 margin for error for Oregon. They have to make every free throw, and all their offensive possessions, I would think, would have to be efficient.
Yep, they do. And, you know, it's twofold when you talk about someone getting a lot of attention. I mean, Joe Young getting a lot of attention. He's not played well. I mean, he's 2 for 12. He's got 6 turnovers. You can't just leave him out in the corner and not involve him. His involvement will help open up open shots because of the attention that will be drawn just by him catching the basketball.
Even if he's not the shooter.
Even if he's not the shooter. So he's still got to touch the ball. Sometimes the other players on the team think, oh, I'm not going to pass it to him because he's covered or because he's not going to get a quality look. Still involve him, still run your stuff. It'll help you as an offensive player.
Is that a 5 count? It is.
Yep.
VCU does not get a timeout called. Obviously, any Oregon comeback is based on getting stops, and VCU has made 7 of their last 9 shots, but that time, good backcourt pressure creates a 5 count. That's the 18th VCU turnover. The lob to Bell, good position, gives it up to the corner. Benson can't hit. No, it does roll home for Casey Benson. Only a 6-point lead with 3.5 minutes to go. Lewis, off balance, throws it to nowhere. And Young is able to control the basketball. Off to Bell, dumps it off. Offensive foul called on Jordan Bell. Travion Graham had position. And the frustration continues for Dana Altman.
Well, that took a lot of courage, not just because of the contact, but because Travion Graham has 4 fouls. So a little bit of a gamble by him, but excellent job stepping in and drawing the charge. How many of those transition opportunities with numbers does Dana Altman want back from the second half? I mean, they have messed up 3 transition opportunities that should have been sure scores for them.
Cox plus the foul.
And that's how it changes. I mean, that's a 4-point swing there. If Jordan Bell makes that basket, or if Oregon converts that transition play, but now it comes down to the other end, and Mo Ali Cox is able to get the bucket and the foul.
And Casey Benson with the softest foul maybe in basketball history. That's his 4th. And Mo Ali Cox went through that little slap by Casey Benson as if it was a mosquito on his arm.
If you're going to foul him, because, you know, we talked about he struggles at times from the free throw line. Foul him, before he gets the shot up, or not allow him to make it, and now you've put him to the line for 2.
Abdul Bassett in and out, and again, the basketball never goes anywhere near Joseph Young. It's possession after possession for Oregon, and their best player doesn't even touch it. Weber, off balance, and good.
I mean, he makes shots sometimes. His ability just to contort his body in there and still have the touch to get the basketball up on the glass.
Young drives it, off balance, lost it, some contact, no foul called, and here comes Briante Weber. And now it looks like VCU may finally have this game in complete control, up 10 with 2 minutes to go.
Joseph Young has not played well tonight on the offensive end, and you have to credit VCU defensively of their game plan, their execution of that game plan. They have frustrated him. Not only has he shot in a poor percentage, I think that's his 7th turnover of the game.
Shaka Smart calls a timeout from the bench.
Slow their growth or slow their maturation as a team, their chemistry together, is that they have a large rotation. They play so many guys. So it takes them a little bit longer in the season to get going.
Ali Cox called for the offensive foul as he leaned in, and Abdul Bassett took the charge. You talk about courage. 250 pounds of man coming at you there.
That's big-time courage there by Jaleel Abdul Bassett. Taking one for the team for sure.
Brooks for 3. That one hit the backboard first. Weber pushed from behind. That might be a flagrant foul. The officials might get together and rule that is a flagrant foul, and it is. That looked like an intentional push by Rory, or check that into the back of Jaquan Lewis. That's Abdul Bassett.
Well, what makes that a little bit dangerous is the fact that he's already in the air. And that's the thing. I mean, he's already in the air, and Jaleel Abdul Bassett is beat.
So 2 shots and the ball for VCU, and they'll bounce back off of their loss last night and get a win in the consolation game over Oregon.
Well, you have to be happy if you're Shaka Smart overall with the team performance and the fact that in that short period of time you do bounce back. And this is a tough game. This was a tough game for them to win. I mean, Oregon is going to surprise a lot of people, I think, in the Pac-12 just by virtue of how hard they play. If they're able to get Dwayne Benjamin back, I mean, that's a key loss for them in this game, not having one of their starting forwards, their best rebounder.
Weber, nice pass to Ali Cox, and that's icing on the cake for the Rams. 10 assists for Briante Weber. That matches his career high. And this the largest lead now for VCU, and it finally comes in the last minute where they're able to put Oregon away. It took a long time. It's a game Oregon group. And here's some inadvertent contact as Young on the drive swings the right elbow and caught Jordan Burgess right on the schnoz.
Yeah, he's still sore there. You know, Oregon, I thought they played defensively well enough to win. In the second half, particularly down the stretch, offensively, their execution was so poor. I mean, they mismanaged so many possessions, and that's the frustration with Dana Altman coming off of last night's loss to Michigan. Is we played hard, but we didn't play smart. And this is an area of growth for this team. They're going to have to play smarter in these possession games if they want to come out with wins.
And you don't want to say that they're a one-man team, but does this now drive home again the thought for Oregon that they can't beat good teams without Joseph Young being on? If he has a night like he had tonight, can they beat a solid team?
Well, I think they can't beat good teams without solid execution, because if they had run their stuff and reversed the basketball, even though Joe Young's getting a lot of attention, their quality of their shot attempts would have been higher. I mean, they turned the basketball over, they took poor shots, they made poor judgment plays in transition. All those things, if you improve that, maybe you can overcome a night like this from Joe Young.
20 turnovers for Oregon. But of course, that's what VCU will do to you.
Yep. Yeah, this is a solid bounce back win for this group. And you know, they've got, you see the veterans there huddled together at midcourt. They have a core group of guys that understand what it takes to win, that understand what it takes to get in the NCAA tournament. If VCU can integrate their younger players, their talented freshmen, and Terry Larriere, and if they can integrate them into the mix, this is a team that come March people aren't going to want to face.
So it looks like Oregon will wave the white flag, and the final seconds will be dribbled out by VCU. The Rams, a big run last night, victimized them against Villanova, but tonight they put together a big run of their own.